My name is Bianca Piazza of MovieWeb, and I'm so excited to talk about the Salamander King. It was just so it felt like a warm hug, you know what I mean? So my first question, specifically Austin, for you, can you talk a little about how you chose the specific Austin, Texas businesses and historic destinations you wanted to feature and mention? From shooting at the Yellow Rose, which I know is pretty difficult, to the mention of the iconic and now closed Threadgills. There are so many. So can you touch on that for a bit?
Yes. So, with a small movie, independent movie with, we didn't have a lot of money, shooting in Austin is not as easy as it used to be. And I had an amazing location scout named Joey Hudgens. And, and I was lucky enough to grow up there and know maybe some secret spots that might work for us that were a little bit outside of the box. And one of those was Krause Springs, because that scene was originally supposed to be at Barton Springs. Barton Springs was kind of like, yeah, you can shoot here, but we can't close the pool. And that would have been a total nightmare for sound. It would have been
continuity,
almost impossible to do. So stuff like that, we kind of had to like draw on, our experiences growing up there and going, where can we go? What can we do? And doing Krause Springs, shooting in Mount Bunnell are places that, are near and dear to my heart. What was the other one you mentioned? Oh, you mentioned Threadgills. Yeah, like, so many of our favorite places have closed and gone away. And it's really sad. I mean, it just keeps happening. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of, people standing up to protect. It does happen. Like a couple years ago, there was this crazy thing to like build a giant theater in Zilker Park and parking structures.
Or to get rid of Continental Club. That was one of the things
too. And Austinites stood up and went, no chance. So when that happens, it feels really good because we all get together and we go, don't mess up our place.
Right.
But that's kind of, a lot of what this movie is about. It's about protecting your home and your identity in a quickly changing world. And I think it's something that we can all relate to, especially now.
Right. And I thought it was really interesting that you mentioned Threadgills, because it really does speak to, what the whole movie is about, because without Threadgills, there wouldn't be like icons like Janis Joplin. Um, so can you now touch on what the casting process was like? Adrianne, how did you get involved? How did Ryan and, Ryan Hansen and Dulce Sloan get involved? Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, my first call was Adrianne, and she had made a movie called Due West, which is also at this festival. And she asked me if I would play this role, and I said, I'd love to. Would you be in my movie?
But we've known each other for a very long time. We, worked together on Friday Night Lights a million years ago. So, thankfully, it's always fun getting to work with a friend and somebody as talented as he is. So.
And then Ryan Hansen was also a friend I'd worked with before, and he'd worked with him before. Justin Chatwin is a very old friend of mine, and he came and did a great job. Ashley Guaranya is our casting director, and she showed us tapes for some of the newer people that I didn't know yet and brought into the movie. And she did an amazing job. And she brought these people that not only like fit the characters, but also got, melded with the other cast really, really well, which sounds like it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's a huge deal to bring people that kind of are all going to work together well.
Yes.
Right. Chemistry can make or break a movie. Absolutely. So can you actually talk a little bit about Due West and what was the process working as, director and star versus being like co-stars in a way on Due West in comparison to the Salamander King?
Well, so I was one of the producers on Due West as well as an actor, and it was just a little different. It was kind of cool because you did meet a lot of the crew that you ended up using, at least a few people.
I've fully poached people from Due West, like Ashley Adams, our production designer, and I said, hey, you did a great job. Would you read my script?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So obviously being co-stars is a little different, but it was my first time working with Austin as a director. And honestly, he's one of my favorites. It's like, I think that there is something really special about an actor who becomes a director.
Right.
It's that same thing that Pete Berg has, like it's Evan Miller. It's just something that you have a great bedside manner and you're able to communicate in a way to actors that other people might not be able to, especially in like, these situations where you have very limited time. You have to keep people calm. You have to keep people moving.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, your bedside manner is just great. So it's fun. All the ways it's fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's wonderful. So Adrianne, I had a quick question for you. You have obviously so many things in the works, so I'm curious if the Orville, if it's completely behind you at this point, if season 4 ever happens, would you consider revisiting?
That would be a conversation if that was going to be the thing. You know, right before the strikes, that was definitely a conversation that Seth and I had. Called me and asked if I would do it, and you know, it was a possibility. And then the strikes happened, and you know, it kind of just went away. So
Right.
I know a lot of people are disappointed about that, but
Right.
as of now, I don't know that there's going to be a 4th season.
Got it. Okay, understood. And I guess my last question is, I was curious specifically about how Reggie Bush and Lilith Bush got involved with the film. That was really interesting to see.
Yeah, it was new to me. I'd never done anything like this because it wasn't in the original script. And then we started talking about if there's any golfers or athletes that like golf that we could maybe do some interesting casting somewhere. And there is a very fun fight in the movie with you about a very famous college football game. And once we kind of zeroed on that, we were like, well, what about Reggie? And we found out his wife is an actress and she made a tape for a role. And we said, yeah, like, let's look at her tape. And she was fantastic. So it all just kind of was honestly happening without us asking it to happen. And it kind of happened naturally. I don't know how else to describe it.
And they're both so lovely, and he was so excited to do it too.
Yeah. And then once we kind of like zeroed in an idea, Drew was able to go write the scene specifically for Reggie and make it more specific, and it became this whole thing. And I love the commercial. The commercial we did to sort of like weird age, like bad VHS like look to it.
That was
And
great.
it feels like, you know, they didn't have a budget and not very good equipment, and it's really fun, and Reggie killed it.
There's like a campy element to it that I really loved. Well, that was all the time that I know that we all have. And thank you so much for speaking with me, and congratulations on the Salamander King.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.